Syria by Babylon. And then Ezekiel is the next one you should read. It's basically saying, um, well, they the same sort of things as Habakkuk and Zephaniah. Your time is up. An exile is going to happen when the Babylonians attacked Assyria. They went on next and they attacked Judah, and Ezekiel was kidnapped at the time when they came to Judah. They haven't destroyed Jerusalem yet. They haven't destroyed the temple, but Ezekiel has been taken off with the first group of captives, and he has revelations about what's going to happen now. And Ezekiel's revelations, I mean, he's like Isaiah. He's like the second great prophet. They see, both him and Isaiah see not just their own time frame, but they see way past their time frame, way into the future. And Ezekiel sees way up until the present day. Ezekiel sees what's going to happen right up into the present day as I'm speaking to you right now on the 23rd of March, 2025. Ezekiel sees all of this. He's really, really a great prophet, just like Isaiah was. And then, so he explains everything that's going to happen according to the history, step by step, how they're going to be exiled and how they're going to be brought back and how they're not going to be good enough and how, there's going to be the messianic sort of seed will come. All of this is sort of explained in very, very vision-like, dream-like sense, okay? Then after Ezekiel, at the same time is Jeremiah, who is also warning. While Ezekiel has been taken with the first wave of captives off to the east, Jeremiah is still in Jerusalem, and he's warning, saying, we've got to do something, you've got to repent now, the end is nigh. But his message is not really being listened to by anybody either, and so, of course, Babylon gets Judah. And Jeremiah talks about a new covenant, that even though you're going to be going to exile now, God is going to establish a new covenant with you. And I think what you're supposed to be thinking at this point is remembering Tobit, how good he was in exile, much better than the children of Israel in their country. In exile, they were much more holy, it turned out, than they were in the kingdom. Those who were in the kingdom were wicked and were exiled, and then when in exile, they started to actually behave quite well, like Tobit's story is about that. That's why you mustn't omit Tobit from the Bible. Otherwise, you're missing the point of the story. You're missing a key plot device here. So Jeremiah is saying that God's going to do something new with you. He's going to give you a new covenant. And then the next one you should read is Obadiah, Prophet Obadiah, who is speaking to the children of Edom. And Edom comes back into the story at this point. Now, Edom is quite happy when Judah gets destroyed and when the Jerusalem gets conquered. They're like, yay, because Edom has been conquered by the children of Israel, by Judah, and they feel like they're being liberated. Well, Obadiah comes along and says, shame on you. That's not how you behave. That's not what you should have done. Because you said that, I have a prophecy for you now. Not only was Israel destroyed and Judah destroyed, but now you too, Edom, are going to be destroyed because of your lack of charity. As simply as that, because of lack of charity. Because you were uncharitable to your neighbor, and because you were disrespectful when this happened, you are now going to be destroyed as well. That's basically the prophet Obadiah. And then after that, you should read the Lamentations and Baruch, which is basically all about everybody is very, very sad now, including the Idumeans. Everybody is sad because they've all been destroyed. Israel is gone, Judah is gone, Edom is gone, the whole family is gone. Everybody is in exile. You all suffered the same fate. It's like Armageddon, Judgment Day is past. And by the way, this is the day of the Lord. Micah talked about this day. This is the day of the Lord when Jerusalem was finally destroyed and all the nations around, Edom as well, was destroyed. They were all destroyed. The day of the Lord has come and gone, and everything is desolate. Everybody is bereft. Lamentations and Baruch is what you read at that point. Lamentations is because the day of the Lord has come. We also know, though, from previous prophets that this is not going to be the only day of the Lord, that the day of the Lord simply means Judgment Day, but Judgment Day doesn't mean once and for all. Judgment Day is something which comes several times. And this is the first big Judgment Day that we've heard. This is the first time Judgment Day has come, but it's not the last time Judgment Day is going to come. Judgment Day is going to come again and again. The day of the Lord comes again and again. It's not good news. Day of the Lord is going to come again and again. And Daniel, while in exile, is the next book we should read. He talks about Judgment Day. He is actually living around the time of the Judgment Day, and he talks about the Judgment Day of Babel. Babylon is now suffering a Judgment Day when Persia comes in and gets Babylon. Babylon falls. Fallen is Babylon. Okay, so that's what happens next. But Daniel also sees the day of the Lord is going to come again and again as well. The day of the Lord is not just once, it comes again and again to every nation. So Judgment Day is not a one-off event. Judgment Day is a thing which comes to various nations at various times. But once Judgment Day comes to Babylon, there's some good news. We have the reference to Darius, and he's called I think they call him the son of Ahasuerus, and this is actually Gobirus Darius, who is the son of Astyages, who lived around the year 585 to 550. You should know that's who is being spoken of when Darius comes in and conquers Babylon. That's who is the historical person behind that is Gobirus Darius. Daniel also sets up at this point. He sets up the Magi, a group of Noahides in Babylon. And he teaches them all the wisdom he has. He's a great visionary. He's not referred to as a prophet. His book's not counted in the book of prophets because he gives so much history. So it's counted as a history lesson rather than the prophetic lesson. But along with Isaiah and Ezekiel, Daniel is the third really big one, who is going to be telling us exactly what happens over the next 1,000 years and more. You need to study Isaiah and Ezekiel and Daniel in order to understand the sequence of what has been fulfilled already and what is yet to come. Those are the ones you need to know for what is yet to come, because Hosea and Jonah, Amos, Micah, Zephaniah, Habakkuk, Nahum, Obadiah, these ones have all really mostly been fulfilled, with a small comment at the end about, and in the future God is going to bring about, his kingdom. But you don't really get the full details except from Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel to know what's going to come next. And then after Daniel, we have Zechariah. In the book of Zechariah, we learn that when Persia conquered Babylon, they actually came to be on the side of the Jews. And they actually have a king who is a Messiah. Zechariah talks about him, who sends them back to the land of Israel and says, you can go back and you can rebuild. And you've got Zerubbabel, who is the descendant of David, and you've got Joshua, the high priest, who is the descendant of Aaron, and they're supposed to come back into the land and they're supposed to restore the children of Israel. And Zechariah's prophecy comes at this point saying, could this be it? Is this it? This could be it. This could be the time. If these people do well, the Messianic era could begin. And Haggai is a little bit later, but about contemporary with Zechariah. He sees what they've done when they come back into the land. And Zechariah is also very useful for looking at what comes in the future as well. So you've got Isaiah, you've got Ezekiel, you've got Daniel, and you've got Zechariah. These are four very important ones to see what comes next as well. Zechariah is saying this could be it, but if it's not it, then God is going to do something better. Zechariah is talking about that. And Haggai comes along after Zechariah, and he says to the people, you're not doing good enough. You're not doing well. This is really not going well. You're too grumpy. You're too miserable. You're too upset. You're not seeing things with God's eyes. You're seeing things with your own eyes. If you are doing basically, what has to be done, this is the correct way, I think, of reading Haggai. If you are doing your best and it doesn't look great, don't get disparaged by what doesn't look great. Just keep on doing your best, because it's your intention in your heart is what's most important. But instead, the people don't listen to Haggai's message, and they're more interested in trying to make everything perfect. And so then you have Ezra comes along. The next book is Ezra. And Ezra is saying, Zerubbabel came, Joshua the high priest came, but it didn't work out. People were not good enough, and he tries to establish things as the law and tries to establish the law more powerfully in the land. But people are not interested in the religion. And at this point, it's probably Nehemiah who writes the Chronicles 1 and Chronicles 2 to try and encourage people to take a different approach to religion. And that's the failure. This is the big, big point of failure after the restoration from the exile of Babylon. The people have come back. They're not doing very well. Life is tough. Haggai is saying, if your intentions are pure, that's the important thing. Zechariah is also saying this, your intentions, don't give up. And Ezra comes along and says, it's not really doing very well. You're not doing good enough. Things are not great. And he starts to implement the law, but people are not interested in the law. Nehemiah comes along and says, what we need is a new history. And so they write Chronicles 1 and Chronicles 2 to purify the history of Israel, to try and inspire people to be more holy. That's not the way it is. The redacting history is not the way it's supposed to be. And the only reason why we have Chronicles 1 and Chronicles 2 is to tell us this was the mistake that was made. And it comes at this point.